And gentlemen, General Greene here. God bless you. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Jesus Christ, of course, is King. I have massive updates, huge alerts from around the world. There's 1,500 paratroopers out of Alaska being sent into Minneapolis, and what I believe will be an imminent declaration of martial LAW and also the Insurrection Act, which I predicted late last year, of course, because you are tuned into the hardest hitting, truthful, factual information and alternative media in the world. I've been doing this for 2 decades. Thank you so much. God bless you. I also want to thank all of you. You're so amazing. I love you so much. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for all the follows. We're going private on X imminently. It's your last chance for free to follow me at AMTV Media. Again, it's your last chance to follow me for free on X before we crush 150,000 new followers. I'm going private. You'll never be able to follow me again. So make sure you visit X at AMTV Media, click that follow button. I certainly appreciate it. Let's get into it. So, all hell is breaking loose across the country. We're seeing conservatives targeted on the ground in Minneapolis. Very dangerous times. Donald Trump, of course, threatening the Insurrection Act. Elon Musk threatening the Insurrection Act as well. And also, as the United States positions for a much more prolonged attack on Iran than many Americans expected. Let's talk about this for a minute. The USS Abraham Lincoln, all of our precise naval assets, military, special ops, of course, have been hard at work. God bless our military, the successful operation, which we didn't have a single casualty count. Same when we hit the nuclear proliferation strikes in Iran. I also predicted that, by the way, to a T. Is preparing now for a large-scale event and regime change of the Ayatollah and the regime, the alleged regime in Iran. Now, the fact it's taking Trump so long tells us this is going to be much more complex. This is going to be much more prolonged. It's going to be a lot more costly. It very well could include troops on the ground. They may, in fact, be necessary. Again, Iran is a lot different than like Venezuela. Iran is a first world country. It is a first world nation state. It isn't second and third world. These people have been in power for a very long time. And technically, we've been at war since Donald Trump made his first strike on Iran months ago. Keep in mind, in his previous administration, he also took out Soleimani with a hit. So this has been going on for some time now. Now, in addition to that, the pre-planned protests are erupting across the United States. This is going to get much worse, and I'm going to explain why. The radical Democrats will be pushing for an impeachment proceeding against Donald Trump imminently. So this is going to be happening next. This was my major prediction last year. I told you, 1, the Insurrection Act would be declared by Donald Trump, and there would be massive protests and civil unrest in America. 2, I told you that the radical Democrats would force impeachment proceedings on Donald Trump, amplifying both those events. So understand, this is going to create more instability on the ground. It's going to create more of a political war against right versus left. It's going to psychologically traumatize the American people. At the same time, Donald Trump is removing America, building a new empire. We're seeing this with Greenland, etc. The construction of a Western Hemisphere system. Maybe there will even be a name change around that. I was contemplating earlier that this morning, I mean, they could call it like the New Empire States of America or the Western Union of America, or like some kind of term, kind of like they did with the Gulf of America. Because what we're seeing now is a blitzkrieg, much like what we saw in World War II. Donald Trump has threatened military attack on Greenland. He's preferred, which is his preference, is through peaceful negotiations to purchase Greenland. It'll be some $700 billion plus in total sum in a 21st century Louisiana purchase. But the takeaway here is now NATO has collapsed. NATO has officially collapsed. North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the United States and Donald Trump is pulling the United States out of it. Now, when Donald Trump does acquire Greenland, that's going to give more ammunition to Democrats to move ahead. Even some Republicans will begin to turn, I believe, on Donald Trump, pushing for those same impeachment proceedings. So this is a perfect storm. You have to understand there's war everywhere. So there's war in Ukraine. You have China and Russia contemplating their next moves. Regime change in Venezuela, Latin America ruffling feathers. The FAA has ordered all commercial airline pilots, for example, and our military, to be very careful flying over parts of Mexico and Latin America and Central America as a result of what's going on right now in the region. Excuse me. And we also have Iran. So Iran, in my view, is going to be much more of a prolonged incursion. It's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be as tactical and precise as we've seen in the past. So just understand that you're just getting warmed up. Okay, we're halfway through the month, the 18th here in January. This is just the beginning. So I want that to settle in with your preparations, with your preps, getting your money out of the banks, buying sovereign assets like Bitcoin, buying real estate with us, etc., with no bank debt. Understand this is just the beginning. So you really need to kind of psychologically prepare yourself that the chaos has just started, okay? Now, also remind yourself this is why I built the Island Project. I built the Island Project for these exact predictions, for safety, so that you were in the best investment and a conservative investment during all this worldwide chaos. You were decentralized. You were in a private ecosystem. You had complete monetary sovereignty over your investment. And you were profiting from what was happening with the Bitcoin reset, the stable coin reset, and all of those pre-planned rollouts of AI and robots and the singularity, which Elon Musk and everyone else is now admitting, which I long predicted. Now, I also want to comment on this too, and I'll only say what I can say. Another reason to follow me on X, because I speak a lot more freely in terms of free speech over there. The Bank of England, this is not a conspiracy theorist online or some podcaster or somebody in the alien, UFO realm. No, the Bank of England and leading central bank analysts, okay, are now warning that aliens will be revealed by the White House. Let that just kind of sink in for a minute. And again, there's a great article you can read on this. This just came out from the Times out of the UK. Again, this is like the Wall Street Journal telling the American people this and people worldwide. This just came out. So I want you to let it sink in for a minute, okay, that the Bank of England is warning of an imminent financial economic collapse in the States and the westernized world as a result of UFOs in the White House revealing alien, intelligent, non-human life to the American people. This is a big deal, guys. And I'm not the one saying this. Now, I did predict that there would be an alien UFO fake invasion and Project Bluebeam. Remember God, because God speaks to me, gave me that vision. It went viral all over the internet. And it got buried down the rabbit hole because I was telling the truth. So I've warned you guys all of this in advance because all glory to God, he's told me to tell you, his people, of what's coming so you're not deceived. Because aliens aren't real, all that, of course, is fake. However, in the biggest psychological operation, which is rolling out now, they've already rolled out soft disclosure. Marco Rubio has admitted UFOs, UAPs. The Pentagon has been rolling out soft disclosure. Barack Obama has admitted publicly that he is aware of these other alien hidden technologies. Trump has admitted. The White House has flat out said that they control and have occult hidden tech that can bend the space-time continuum, meaning that time isn't finite, not moving on a singular line, but that everything is in the now and it moves across different frequencies and also different worlds, so to speak. This goes back to like a lot of the concepts that Nikola Tesla, of course, explored before all of his files were garnered by the U.S. government and then deeply embedded into our intelligence agencies right off after his passing. For those of you who don't know that history, again, Nikola Tesla discovered free energy. There's free, abundant, costless energy. It comes from the vibrational core and frequencies of this universe, something he really understands very well. But what the American people don't understand, unfortunately, I know you do, is that not only do we have abundant free energy and abundant free wealth, but the American people have been enslaved in this scarcity mindset because it's all about control and monetization of the target populations. Again, there's no money in free abundant energy, but there's a lot of money in the petrodollar. There's a lot of money in oil. There's a lot of money in keeping people down and control. There's even a lot of money in electric cars. Again, if there's free, abundant, vibrational energy, which there is, that's incredibly dangerous to the lobbyists in Washington, D.C., Fortune 100, et cetera, that are depending on the enslavement of people that they control and profit from, like vampires. So understand this. All of this is coalescing into the same yellow brick road, which I've called for some time. So let it sink in again that governments worldwide, that the actual Bank of England, okay, is revealing aliens to you long before, okay, they'll give you the Epstein list. You know, anything but the Epstein list, right, guys? So, I mean, they're going to go play an alien card first. That's how crazy and weaponized and fake your government is in this whole system. Now, here's the article. The Bank of England says that you must prepare for an imminent financial crisis as Treasury debt markets will implode. Even gold and silver, they said, would probably crash. They said it would be bullish for Bitcoin, but bearish for gold and silver, because if aliens are revealed, that would mean they come from high-tech other civilizations, which mean they also have those minerals, right? So think about that. That means that there's not limited supply of gold and silver. There's like infinite supply of gold and silver. That's why Bitcoin's more valuable. It's finite. And by the way, Bitcoin is alien technology, and it's also deflationary and fixed. They can't print or make any more of it. So this analyst at the central bank is now urging Governor Andrew Bailey to put contingencies in place to prevent a Mad Max environment and total collapse when alien life is revealed, according to the Times. This is just what it says, not me. The Bank of England must plan for a financial crisis being triggered by an official announcement confirming the existence of alien life, one of its policy experts has warned. Helen McCaw served as senior analyst in financial security at the UK's central bank, Bank of England, preparing for events that could impact the economy. So she goes on to say, again, she's a Cambridge graduate, that she believes a declaration of that magnitude will send shockwaves through the markets and will trigger bank collapses and civil unrest. So let's look at it from the perspective of the elites. Again, the elites never blame themselves for the collapse or the pain and suffering of the middle class that they caused. In 2008-09, for example, they were responsible for doing that. They printed all the fake mortgages, all the fake securitization bonds. Remember, Barack Obama said every American deserves to own a home. They blew up a huge bubble. Alan Greenspan took interest rates down to zero, then collapsed and stole everybody's money and blew up the whole system in 2008-09. But they always blame it on somebody else. It's not their fault. So the new blame game, and of course, we know what the blame game was in 2020. It was the boogeyman. It was the bat poo. Now they've got a new blame game, and that's going to be aliens. So understand, as they reset into the digital age, into cryptocurrencies, into the Bitcoin reset I've long predicted, into the stable coins, and the new hegemonic system, which the US dollar is being removed from the petrodollar. I've said this for a decade now, over a decade. And what they are decades, and what they are going to do is attach the US dollar, upgrade it digitally and technologically, okay, into a new system, and they're going to back it with the US stablecoin technology. Now, as that happens, the middle class, which has already been eradicated, and all the wealth is being transferred to these same people that are going to blame the aliens, that's going to collapse the old system. So you have to understand there's going to be tremendous pain and suffering for the middle class and the average American and average citizen worldwide during this reset into AI, into robots, and into the new stablecoin reset. Because all those savers and all those baby boomers and all those millennials that keep getting hyperinflated out of real assets, they're the ones that pay the direct price. And they're the ones that, you know, feel the pain. It's terrible, and all the suffering of what the elites are doing. Again, the elites are vampires, okay? And these demons, they feed off the suffering and the pain and the low vibrational energy. That's what Satan does. Satan feeds off those evil demonic spirits, okay? And without that, again, if your mind was free, if your heart was free, if you know Jesus, for example, you know everything's abundant, everything's endless, you know you're an eternal being, you have nothing to fear, nothing to worry about. I mean, I sit here today literally as an eternal being and the general here of the Island Project who lives forever through Jesus. So you have to understand, like, that mindset is completely different. That knowing, it's not even a mindset, that truth, that fact is completely different how most Americans operate. Most Americans are like, grudging themselves by. They're in a scarcity mindset. They don't know that money is fake and not even real. It's completely abundant. They print it from nothing. They don't have a general understanding of how they're being controlled. They're not aware that energy and resources are actually infinite and abundant. They don't understand that the government's been hiding all this tech from them for years. I mean, they've got cures for everything, cancer. I mean, the list goes on and on. They actually want cancer. That's how they make all their money. They want fear. That's how they suppress the populations. Okay, that's how they do the lockdowns. That's how they redistribute assets only to themselves. Again, it's largely the monetary system, which is fake, that enslaves the target populations. We see this all throughout history, whether or not it's Native Americans or Japanese Americans that were rounded up into concentration camps during World War II, or it's any other group. I mean, again, this is what Martin Luther King knew, and we'll be celebrating Martin Luther King holiday here on Monday. He knew that. He knew governments have absolutely zero power over the people, just like Gandhi, just like Jesus proved that, right? It's actually the people that have the power. And so think about that as we, celebrate tomorrow and we get a day off. Understand that truth. So this is huge. Again, Marco Rubio has already admitted, he's already soft disclosed to the American public. He's even in a brand new disclosure documentary. They're going to pull the alien card before everything else. But here's a takeaway, and here's what you need to understand. All of it's a psyop. Aliens aren't real. It's another control mechanism. Just like the Independence Day movie predictively programmed the current events taking place, nothing will bring a new world you-know-what system together more, and we've got the Western and Eastern hemispheres forming right now, than a world all acting and working together in unison to fight the aliens, right? Or even if it's good, even if they sell it as good news, the aliens are here, they're revealing hidden technology to us. Wow, we live in utopia. That still unites the countries into like this borderless world framework. So understand it's a psychological psyop. And it's also a deployment of Satan. The more that Satan can convince the American people and people worldwide that there are aliens, the less people that will, believe potentially and know the truth that is Christ or know the truth that is Jesus. They'll be like, no, aliens. It's thrown all religion haphazardly into, a smorgasbord of uncertainty. Again, we're moving into a psyop where people worldwide are already starting to worship not just their phones, but they're worshiping AI. I mean, instead of going to God or the Bible to ask a question, what do most people do now? Hey, ChatGPT, tell me this. What does this mean? What's going to happen next? What do you think about this? So instead of going to the source, which is God, okay, which is what we all need to do, people are going to the other source. And we know who the other source is. It's the Antichrist. I even noticed Elon Musk, who again is putting brain chips in people's heads, along with Mr. Gates, with his company Synchron and the corresponding company Neuralink, of course, was even saying that he wants to create some kind of, like morality board for his grok. So I want you to let it sink in for a minute that, by the way, humans can't do that. Humans don't come up. What did I say exactly? What I said was a lot smarter than what I'm conveying now. But something along the lines, he wants to create like some kind of morality board, okay, for his grok, which tells you a couple of things. One, he doesn't believe in God because God establishes right and wrong. God establishes truth and untruth. Everything else is subjective. So this is what I said. He said, this is what Elon Musk says. Grok should have a moral constitution. My response was, who defines a moral constitution? Humans can't do that, only God can. For example, one person's moral constitution is the opposite of another person's moral constitution. One person's idea of freedom is the opposite of another person's idea of freedom, right? For example, that's subjective. The only truth is the truth. So again, these people show their colors. The more you see what their philosophies are, the more you see how they intellectualize and rationalize how they believe the world should be constructed, of which they disproportionately own. And I find it very, very scary. I also posted a video yesterday. Elon Musk has warned to the American people that he plans on monopolizing over half of the world financial system through X. That's crazy. I mean, he actually says this. It's on my feed. And I'm not saying Musk hasn't and doesn't do some great things, but like that raises an eyebrow. I mean, monopolize half of the world's financial system, and he's telling you Grok will have a moral constitution that only he defines, and that he is the only one that controls all this stuff. I mean, Grok just signed contracts, deep state contracts with the Pentagon and the DoD. That tells me that it's not to be trusted, right? So again, this is really, really moving down a slippery slope, but far from the point. The big point of this video is the U.S. government, okay, with Trump withdrawing from NATO and doing basically as he wishes, unilaterally and completely independently, whether you agree with it or not, is at war with North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Canada's turning on us. France and Europe are turning on us. They're literally telling us that they will declare war on us if we take Greenland, of which Donald Trump says he's considered military action and or a direct purchase of it. So big takeaway here is, keep your head on a swivel. Expect the gravity and the intensity of the planned inside JOB destabilizing effects that you're going to see on the ground to amplify and understand this is what they want. The more chaos there's in American cities, the more chaos on the ground, the more Republican and Democrats battling each other out in the fake two-party system, the impeachment proceedings, the rhetoric, the uncertainty, the aliens, the more they keep people distracted and in fear and in a low demonic vibration, the easier it is for psychological control, the easier it is for military advancement, the easier it is to kind of blow out of the water all former ways that the United States was organized with the rest of the world. And I'm not even saying it's not, it's necessarily a bad thing. Like, again, a lot of Americans actually support a full withdrawal from NATO, okay? But also understand Trump's not doing that without the expectation and building a new Western hemispheric empire without the direct expectation of world conflict and war. So, I mean, this is World War, what I called IV. You're not even in World War III. They did what we saw in recent years, which I can't talk about. And I told you then not to comply. And I told you it was World War III. Well, now you're in World War IV, which is the reset and the setup of these new systems of economic, financial, technology, and a bifurcation of the East versus the West. And the only question you should be asking is, well, how do you find freedom? How do you find safety? How do you find prosperity in an environment like that? And I'm actually going to encourage you with a couple actionable things you can do today. A great book that I read long before Bitcoin was ever invented is The Sovereign Individual. I encourage you to read it. And it was a precursor and also a leading indicator of what was to come even way ahead of its time because it was put out for a reason. And it explained things like cyber money. This was before Bitcoin was even invented. I was telling you about all this before all this. But what makes the book really important, and it's kind of almost like a libertarian Bible, so to speak. I read it actually every year just to kind of remind myself. It explains how the war of centralized, all-seeing eye, AI, Illuminati, surveillance state is at war with decentralization, freedom, sovereignty, new nation states, like the Island Project, blockchain, technology, and all these things, and kind of what to expect moving forward. And it really is a great testament to where we currently are. Big picture, we are all in a world today where governments are fighting for systematic, centralized force domination and control over its subjects. While at the same time, this new and radical alien invasion AI technology, blockchain, Bitcoin, stablecoins, etc., exists, what actually allows human empowerment and abundance. So that's the war. And I've always viewed that war as not only being probably the most significant thing on our personal timelines and our personal existence, but that will gravely determine how much freedom you have or don't have in the future moving ahead. So again, it gives you kind of more of an intellectual framework for even where my own mind has been for multiple decades, and that's not the only influencing, book or point or experience that I've had, but it's kind of like a boilerplate, historical and forward-looking view of where you currently are, that if you have limited knowledge in this space will kind of explain. You'll look at Island Project and you'll see what I've built in a completely different light. Because freedom must be built in the same way the original founding 13 colonies were. Decentralized, with states' rights, where freedom and liberty was the number one pursuit, and the pursuit to happiness, where minimal taxation and personal safety. And, that founding fathers mentality was the necessity for our departure from a king and the establishment of what made America. And Paul Revere warned the colonists that the redcoats were coming, and the whole reason we fought that and won in the first place. Well, it's happening in the digital age now. So history doesn't necessarily repeat, but it does rhyme. Please like and share. God bless all of you. It is an honor to continue to serve. Again, the deep state elites will roll out everything. They're not going to hold anything back. Chaos is the game plan. So expect that on the ground. Expect impeachment proceedings against Donald Trump, the Insurrection Act to be declared by Donald Trump. Expect all of that and a whole lot more, in addition to the alien card being used to, of course, psyop and deceive the American public so that they have a scapegoat, which is the best word I can think of, for the chaos and problems that they've already created. So understand that the deep state running these ops, they're not like surprise. These aren't random events. No, these are actually like pre-planned, specific, intentional by design. This is their roadmap. So just understand that. And the best advice that I can give you, in addition to everything that we do, solution-oriented, of course, with investing and the Island Project, and my recommendations for personal sovereignty and to learn about crypto and Bitcoin, and I've been selling and recommending gold and silver for decades now, is to understand the fundamental truth that you are an eternal being who lives endlessly with Jesus Christ, the King, that you do not perish and you do not live in scarcity. And I'm telling you, the minute you actually understand that, your income goes 10x. I know mine did when I really came to terms with that and understood that. Your success goes 1,000x. Your relationships go 1,000x. Your marriage will go 1,000x. Your finances go 1,000x. Your spiritual alignment goes 1,000x. So just understand and don't allow these demons, anything but the Epstein file release, right? They're even going to put out aliens. Don't let these people steal your joy. Don't let them steal the eternal truth that is in your heart. God knows all of our hearts. He's coming back soon. Aliens are fake. Jesus Christ is literally at the doorstep, and this is a real exciting time to be alive. Do not comply. Again, you're going to have a lot more courage when you know you're an eternal being, okay? When things get hard and you're faced with these tough decisions and these lines in the sand, know that God's got your back, okay? Know that you're betting on eternity, and your biggest investment is in that and living with Him more so than anything else. So focus on that. Everything else, beautiful and powerful and joyful, will follow you. And God is love, and I love all of you tuning in. So please like and share. Follow me on X. Again, I am going private on X. It's a great place to follow me. And I also want to thank you for near 500,000 new subscribers on Facebook. You'll notice all of my platforms are growing exponentially, but this one right here, and there's a reason for it. Years ago, as I was doubling in size every 6 months, the deep state really didn't like that because I'm real and I just tell the truth. And again, they know that the people are in charge and have all the power. And that's very scary to an authoritarian government and people that are in power today. So I love you guys. You can't stop the truth. That's the beauty of it. New platforms are invented, new technologies are invented. And years ago, I figured out, basically where things were going. And that's why I jumped into blockchain, not necessarily for wealth creation, although that's an amazing byproduct, but I always viewed it as a way for prosperity and freedom in an avenue that they really can't stop. Again, read that book, The Sovereign Individual, and it'll really open your eyes to where the world currently is. Another great book is Read the Singularity by Ray Kurzweil. I don't agree with all of it, but he kind of tells you where they're building the American people into the dystopia. This is what all these tech elitists believe. Again, what their goal is, and another reason for the alien psyop, is the more that they can get people to believe that aliens are real and that there's some kind of sci-fi, elite new tech that is being revealed to the public, the easier it is to convey and convince them that it's okay to merge with these radical new technologies, brain implants, wearables, and biologicals. Because if you think that there's aliens, well, then you're going to take it, right? And we all know what that is. It tells us exactly what these brain implants are. It tells us exactly what the things are that go here. It tells us exactly what those things floating around in your body are. It's in the book of Revelation. I encourage you to read it, and I'll give you a hint. They tell you you won't buy or sell without it. Another reason we built the Island Project and our multi-billion-dollar, soon-to-be blockchain launch will be probably one of the only ways worldwide you'll be able to transfer, move, and enjoy resources in the future, because it was built by a real, loving Christian. For whatever it is, I'm an imperfect vessel. God has declared General Greene here is Noah in the digital age, along with Papa John and our 400 plus members from over 12 different nation states around the world. Because folks, we're not a citizen of any one country per se. We're all citizens of the kingdom of God. And I kneel for no one but Jesus Christ and comply to nothing and nothing unless it's Jesus Christ, our King. And we fear no one and nothing but Jesus Christ. I love you all. God bless. And I will keep you up to date and up to speed on these critical emergency level updates. Things are going to get hot. Trump, of course, has his finger on the trigger in Iran, and this is going to be, it's going to be a light show. Again, you do not move all of our resources over to Iran, including the USS Abraham Lincoln, and you don't wait this long unless this is going to be huge. Okay, this is going to make Gaza look like a church picnic. You understand? It is going to make 2020 look like nothing. The financial collapse they have planned will make 2008 and 09 look like dandelions and freaking lollipops. I told you they're just getting started, and these demons won't stop. It is very, very important you get close to God. It is very, very important you resist at all costs. It is very, very important. Your life is literally on the line. And your decision, your free will that God gave you not to comply will be the difference between your eternality or your eternal separation. I love you. Make the right decision. Always bet on faith and always bet on God first. And when they say fear, you know they're lying. When they introduce aliens, you know it's a lie. When they tell you all this hocus pocus, like they're going to go colonize Mars, when they can't even allegedly cure cancer or male pattern baldness, you know it's a hoax. When they haven't been back to the moon, guys, since like 1971, not even once. Come on, guys. We're not that stupid, are we? Anyways, I love you. Jesus is King.